Let's listen now for the details because a deputy minister at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, George Merkuduko, has rubbished allegations of his involvement in Galamsey activities in the Takwa Nsuom constituency. According to him, anybody who alleges that he's involved in the illegal mining menace must come out with concrete evidence to prove that allegation and not engage in speculations aimed at tarnishing his reputation. He says despite the allegations, he will continue to do everything he can to help the ministry to rid the mining industry of illegalities. He spoke exclusively to my colleague Samuel Kojo Brace.
So there are a lot of issues about illegal mining, especially in the Western region, in Nswayem, Takwa Nswayem, where you are the member of parliament. And your name seems to be up, throughout the discussion. Why are you allowing illegal mining to go on in your constituency?
Let me first of all indicate clearly that Merikuduka has never mined, and I don't own a single concession at all. I represent miners in the Parliament of the Republic. My constituents, about 90% of them have either direct or indirect impact of mining. And therefore, anything in relation to mining, obviously, they would contact or mention Merikuduka if they are arrested or having any negativity as far as mining is concerned. If you even look at the enclave itself, you realize that it's the area that we have consistently been using the military and the police on getting this recalcitrant arrested. And don't forget that it's the heart of gold, because about 60% of gold produced in this country is coming from that enclave alone. And obviously, you realize that gold activities there are very, very predominant. Obviously, you have people who would also want to, in a way, just push you to derail from what you're doing. They know we're working hard to clamp down these illegal miners everywhere. We go, don't sleep, making sure that our river bodies get better, making sure that people mine and mine responsibly, making sure that we put a lot of measures in place to really regularize the mining sector. This is something that is catching the eye of Ghanaians. Obviously, as a politician, as a member of parliament, you have your detractors issuing unnecessary statements here and there, making comments that are very uncalled for, like the chief, the supposed chief you spoke to. He's not a chief in the first place. We don't know him as a chief, and he has a kind of a way of, in a way, discrediting Merikuduka. He started this about 2018, 2019, thereabout, and led the campaign of the independent candidate in my hometown, discrediting me here and there. So no wonder he's continuing on that tangent. But I can tell you, he's a confused being. He's not a chief. The chief has spoken and he set the record right. Just recently, a team from Accra, police numbering about 100, were detailed to dump him. They made arrests. Some Chinese people were arrested. Even an assemblyman was arrested and he's in custody as I speak with you. The regional minister has been embarking on very, serious operations there. They've been arresting people, and the behavior of Galamseyers. You arrest them, some will come back and all that. I am in Accra. I am also supervising other areas, including Dompimdo. But I wouldn't know what's going on there. We have the EPA, we have the Minerals Commission office, we have the MC there. We have other opinion leaders there, and I believe they must also be up to the task and be making sure that people who get to the forest or any place that is uncalled for are arrested. Let me also put it on record that we have people who are also mining responsibly in that enclave. We have people who own concessions that are mining responsibly, and you cannot just put everything together and say they are all illegal miners. and I'm not going to lose focus. I'm so determined. We'll continue to clamp down these miners or illegal miners who are so determined to destroy our country. I mean, we can't allow this nation wreckers to just put up statements just to confuse everybody. Now they just want to demoralize you. You are working hard. You want to make sure water bodies are clean. You want to make sure people get work to do.
Hashtag no to Galamsey. The campaign continues on the Joy News channel. Now let's do some other stories. Almost 80,000 girls in Ghana aged between 12 and 17 years are already married or living with a man. That's according to the Ghana Statistical Service, which says nearly 26,000 of them are girls of junior high school aged between 12 to 14 years. The data released by the Ghana Statistical Service is based on the 2021 population and housing census and coincides with the International Day of the Girl Child, which is being observed globally today. Now, the day seeks to highlight challenges preventing young girls from reaching their full potential, such as early marriage and lack of access to educational and other opportunities. Senior statistician and member of the 2021 Population and Housing Census Methodology Team, Moses Ansah, joins me via Zoom with details of the Statistical Services report. Moses, good morning and thank you so much for your time.
Good morning.
Now, let's unpack the report. Which regions have the highest number of girls in such unions?
Sorry, come again. Your line wasn't too clear.
All right, so we're talking about the regions. Which regions has the highest number of girls in such unions?
Okay, so the region with the highest is the northern region.
Okay. And do we know why
Yes,
that's the case?
Well, so going into details as to why that was not done in the census, but the census picked data on children 12 years and older or people 12 years and older, and so this specific analysis is in relation to girls 12 to 17 years who have ever been married or are currently married or in a union that is living with a man. So if you look at the statistics, the northern region, yes, has the highest proportion.
Okay.
That is about 14,000 of girls are in a union.
Okay.
And that constitutes about 10.6% of these girls.
Okay.
And then it is also followed by Ashanti region, which also have about 9,000 of such girls with 2.7% of the proportion. When you go to the lower side of the graph, you realize that the Ahafo and Western North regions are the lowest, Ahafo having about 1,268 of these girls in such a union, and then Western North having about 2,267 girls, constituting 3.9 of the girls that have been identified to be in this kind of union.
Now, we're also told that despite free and compulsory universal basic education, they're engaging in these unions. Is it a case that maybe these areas are poverty-stricken?
Yes, so like I indicated, we put out a report earlier on, which is the proximity to essential services report that the service also put out as one of the reports from the 2021 Population and Housing Census. That is a report that deals with distances of localities to essential services, which includes school facilities.
Okay.
So what we now need to look at is whether and so in that report, it also came out that distances to school facilities is a problem in some of these regions that these figures are predominant. And so what we need to look at is whether that is really the cause
Okay.
or there are other factors that also contribute to this situation in which we are.
Okay, I'll come back to you, Moses, but joining us with more on this conversation is the executive directors of two girl-child-friendly NGOs. We have Awal Ahmed Karyama, who leads Arise Ghana, and we also have Etonem Se, who heads Inspire Today Foundation. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the International Day of the Girl Child.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
Do we have Etonem? Etonem, good morning. Etonem, good morning.
Morning, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. So now let's start with Awal Muhammad of Rise Ghana. So what would motivate a man to seek the welfare of girls? And this is to you directly, who's heading Rise Ghana.
Thank you very much. I think I like this question very much. We basically are in a process where we are stepping up the advocacy to look at the role of men in terms of empowering women and girls. In fact, if you ask what is needed for a man, it's popular saying that the first university of every child is the mother.
Okay.
And it has shown that when a mother has a higher level of education, the household income is likely to improve. The propensity of sickness in the household reduces. So they are likely to adhere to health practices, and so they give birth to quality children. They are able to groom better children, and the risk in terms of delinquency for society reduces when the capacity of the mothers are enhanced. And for some of us, we have been lucky to grow up and in the midst of women and girls and have been supported over the years. In fact, one of my biggest exposure in terms of civil society work is the fact that a woman gave me an opportunity to not just be an officer in a program, but a gender and human rights officer. And so I started challenging the status quo around that. And interestingly, also fast forward several years, I am a proud girl dad.
Okay.
I have 3 daughters, and I have seen what my sisters have done. I've seen what women have done in terms of empowering and creating an enabling environment for, growing from rural areas, you know that most fathers are absentee fathers. They are not at home presently. Majority of the children draw inspiration from their mothers.
Yeah.
So it's only fair that we empower women, and it's a challenge that every man should be proud of. So I draw a sense of pride in advancing the rights of women and girls, because I see from practical the benefits of it, and it's very clear and how it impacts society. So it's a very interesting and honor kind of thing to do, so that you are contributing to the growth of society and you are clearly lifting. Some of us believe that, and in fact, there's evidence to show that women are generally more intelligent.
Yeah.
The female sex is more intelligent than the male sex. I think that we can argue about this, but it's a statement of fact, and science has that. However, society does not allow women to achieve their full potential. And so when we allow women to achieve their full potential, we're not only benefiting women and girls, but we're benefiting society at large. Look, every man wants to be proud to have a woman who is enlightened, who is exposed, who is well-to-do, who is successful. Yet we want to still abuse women. So we are talking about the fact that for every man that is able to achieve so much, when there's a supportive wife, a co-partner, they are able to achieve a lot. So it's about ensuring that both sexes succeed. So it's not just about the women. For every woman empowered, we are creating an enabling environment for men to also be able to achieve their full potential. And so for me, that's the motivation.
Okay, I'll come back to you, Mohammed, but let's go to Etonem, who's at Inspire Today. So we want to know why you are stressing the need for all and sundry to be intentional about the welfare of the adolescent girl. Why the emphasis?
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. The emphasis is because of what we stand for. I think that we are not intentional enough about the growth of the adolescent child. We talk about it, we write about it, but we are not taking steps to address the challenges of the girl child. If you look at even the theme for the International Day of the Girl Child for this year and next year, it says we are collectively calling for greater attention, invest and action on supporting the leadership of adolescent girls are the forefront of change efforts. So if you're saying that we have to be intentional or we have to pay attention to the girl child, what exactly are we doing? I was in Zwarungu between Thursday and Saturday. Of today, we decided to support close to 5,000 menstruating girls or adolescent girls in the Bolgatanga East District. And I'm telling you that the challenges are enormous. As an NGO today, we support the girls with sanitary towels. We support them with bathing soap, roll-ons, educational materials. Because what like it or not, these are some of the fundamental reasons the girls don't go to school. Because they don't have access to hygienic menstrual products, they would rather stay home than go to school. And I have never in my life seen so much poverty like I saw when I went to Bolgatanga East over the weekend. I couldn't believe it. So if you look at these people who can barely afford one meal a day, and we are asking them to pay as much as 10, 15 cedis for one sanitary pad. If you look at even the components on sanitary pads for Ghana alone, you have import duty 20%, you have import VAT 12.5%, you have Get Fund 2.5%, you have NHIL 2.5%, you have special import levy 2%, COVID levy 1%, ECOWAS levy 0.5%, export and import levy 0.75%, inspection fee 1%, AU levy 0.5%, and Ghana Health Service 0.5%. So as much as 45% tax on a sanitary pad that is essential to the girl. I mean, it means that you just don't want them to go to school. So if I say we should be intentional, government must look at reducing the number of taxes on sanitary pads so that the girls can go to school. Like the gentleman who spoke earlier before me said, the girls are much more intelligent. Research has shown that the girls are much more intelligent in class than the boys. But why do they fall out? They fall out because of poverty, because of some of these issues. You know, they have to be in school, but they cannot be in school because they are menstruating. Why should someone miss classes because of their biological makeup? It doesn't really fit in for me. So we are just calling on government to pay some more attention, be intentional. As an NGO, I mean, there's just so much we can do. We traveled all the way, 15 hours from Accra to Bolgatanga to support these girls. The packs we gave them, 2 each, I don't think that it will last them more than 3 months. After 3 months, they will go back to what they're used to.
Yeah.
They will go back to missing classes. So if we say be intentional by looking at the challenges that the young girl is faced with, because they will never grow up to become confident and be able to even fight for their rights if the basic they need is not provided for.
Okay.
That's what I mean by let's be intentional.
All right. So Etonom says we have to be intentional. But let me go back to Mr. Ansah, Moses Ansah. Do you identify with some of the challenges that the NGOs have mentioned as contributing factors to these numbers that you have given us?
Yes, so we don't normally go into the details as to the reasons why these numbers are seen, but then we put out the numbers to indicate how substantial they are, and like Etonam is saying, how there should be a deliberate effort to work on this situation. Because if you want to talk about the school issue, we have as many as about 250,000. That is about 244,000 girls aged between 6 to 14 years have never at all attended school. And this is very, very substantial. And so we put out the numbers so that the other institutions and other people that work on these situations will also look at it and then tackle the situation and see how best we'll be able to work on this. And as I indicated, it's predominantly a situation that is in the northern sector. In fact, the northern region is the highest, with about 77,000 girls who have never attended school at all between the ages of 6 to 14 years. 77,000, they have never attended school at all.
Okay, that's quite an alarming number. But I want to bring back Mr. Mohammed. Yeah, Mohammed, how is your organization empowering the girl child Mohammed.
Yes, up to you. Thank you very much. Basically, there are a series of activities that Rise Ghana, together with its partners, UNICEF Ghana, Oxfam, and World Up that are doing to be able to arrest this situation. We are currently implementing a project called Enough that is aimed at mobilizing men and boys to support issues around preventing gender-based violence. We're also working with Ghana Health Service and other stakeholders through UNICEF to empower communities as well as gatekeepers and adolescents to engage in efforts that will reduce this menace. So specifically, the things we are doing is that we are setting up legal literacy clubs in various districts. The legal literacy clubs are supposed to create awareness about the human rights aspect of this violation of the girls' rights. I mean, if you look at the Children's Act, it categorically states that the best interest of the child must be promoted. So it's unacceptable that that huge number of children are not in school. I mean, it doesn't sit anywhere in our policy. It's unacceptable. So the legal literacy clubs is educating girls about how to seek redress when they are abused, when they are touched inappropriately, as well as mobilizing communities to provide them the needed education. One of the things we are doing is also to work with gatekeepers. By gatekeepers, I mean traditional authorities, community leaders, and other private sector actors. Look, majority of our girls, we're asking the reasons why there are so many girls in child marriage. One of the core drivers is the fact that teenage pregnancy. Okay. So access to contraceptives and sexual and reproductive health rights education is low. So we're doing a lot to educate the girls to understand their bodies and to safeguard themselves so that when they are touched or abused in a way, they can seek help. They can also get the information and services around sexual and reproductive health rights they need so that they are able to keep themselves away from harm's way. But access to actually contraceptive is a major problem. And then also we have the issue of birth registration. Majority of the cases that we find, some of the girls are teenagers, they are underage. Legally, they shouldn't be married. But when you take the matter to court, some of them do not even have birth registration. So you're not able to prosecute it to the latter, to get the finality to the issue because the person, you cannot legally prove that the person is a child. And so the issue of child marriage, or whether it's a defilement or rape, you cannot even establish. So that is one aspect. So we're working a lot with the communities to increase the uptake of birth registration so that more children would have age-appropriate enrollment in school. They will have age-appropriate support as and when they need. And then also, because of our cultural dynamics in terms of the fact that people prefer their girls giving birth in a man's house, even if they are children, than they giving birth in the house as teenagers. So because of that, people quickly arrange a kind of mock marriage, and then because of the teenage pregnancy. So we need to tackle the issue of access to contraceptive and also age-appropriate sexual and reproductive health rights education so that girls can know how to protect themselves away from harm. And then there's also the issue of assumed poverty. I say assumed poverty because it's about priorities. Some of the people, they are not really, we need to have families and parents prioritizing the needs of the girl child and understanding the dynamics and the psychology of somebody who is menstruating so that we can stop the period shaming, the period poverty, that is access to the sanitary pads and others. We need to introduce innovative sanitary pads like they do in other jurisdictions so that we have reusable ones and the girls are taught how to stay away from infection while using the reusable sanitary pads. All these are that we need to introduce in the communities if we want to really make a headway in this.
Okay.
And of course, we have weak law enforcement.
Okay.
Right.
Executive Director of Rise Ghana, Awal Mohammed, thank you so much for your time. Etonama, I hope you're still with me.
Yes, I am.
All right. So briefly, you spoke about deliberate effort, you spoke about being intentional. And aside from reducing maybe tax from sanitary pads, how do we make the girl child's life easier? Like, what are some of the things you think we should be doing?
Okay, so I think what Rise Ghana does is not so different from what we do, just that we don't promote giving of contraceptives to the girls because sex is optional. People decide to have sex, but people don't decide to menstruate. Women do not decide to menstruate. So we advocate, so we form like a support system for these girls. We advocate for free sanitary pads for the girls. And I am glad he mentioned the reusable pads. I mean, there are some communities that we have been to that have been given reusable pads, but those communities don't even have potable water. They don't have potable water, and so the reusable pads, they wash it there. They don't have the water to even wash it properly, so they reinfect themselves. So what we are asking is for government to make the part cheaper or free for these girls. Okay. So I think it's one of the ways to give them a support system. One of the things we did when we went to Swaruku was that we had a cell meeting with them, so smaller groups, and we spoke to the girls. And they spoke about the fact that sometimes their parents deliberately push them to the boys because they don't have jobs, they don't have what it takes to take care of them. And we asked them, how much do the boys give you? They said 20 Ghana cedis. You sleep with a man for 20 cedis so that you can afford sanitary pads. I think it's dehumanizing. Yeah. So the support I think we can give to these girls is to educate them about their bodies. Let them know that they are worth more than 20 Ghana cedis. We also had a meeting session with their parents. We made them understand that these girls are vulnerable. So you are going to play a role. So we want the women to have some work they do. So we visited the Single Mothers Union at Zwarungu. The women meal rice. They also do share butter. So we went to support them with some seed money. We also support them with some sanitary pads. These are single mothers who are trying to help themselves, and they are teenagers. So these are the support systems we can give them. The parents need jobs to do, so government must help create jobs for these women. We must support the women to be self-employed so they can support their girls. That's what I think that we should do. And also, I cannot say this enough, that government is the biggest spender. Government is the one who will lead the way. We want government to pay another attention. I remember very well, before the 2020 elections, there were promises that they were going to scrap the tax on sanitary pads. I think the government must go back to that conversation so that we can look at that 25% that is on a sanitary pad. We can scrap it and see if the few ones that are there that make up the 45% can all be scrapped, so we can have that, support for the young girls.
Thank you very much, Etanum says. She is the CEO of Inspire Today Foundation, and they are helping girls across the country go through their menstruation or their periods easier by providing them with sanitary pads. And she's also asking for government to scrap taxes on sanitary pads. Before I leave, let me go to Moses Ansah. Moses, any last words from your findings?
Okay, so the other thing that I've not spoken about so far is the girls that are engaged in economic activity. We have as many as 99,150 girls under the age of 15 years engaged in economic activity. And this is also very substantial. And half of this number of girls that are engaged in economic activity are also not attending school. They are not in school. And so these are all some figures and statistics available that we can rely on as a country. We have some of these statistics mostly on our website. All stakeholders, people that work on these things can rely on and use it to be able to attend to the issues as they are, and then we'll be able to address them. In fact, that is the essence of these statistics that we put out there always.
All right, thank you very much, Moses Ansah. He's a senior statistician at the Ghana Statistical Service. And we know that from almost 80,000 girls in Ghana aged between 12 and 17 years are already married or living with a man. And that is something that we can all play a part in by curbing that. But let's do other stories, because as part of efforts aimed at helping address the issue of child labor on the Volta Lake, Globe Serve Ministries International, with support from the Westwood Church USA, is supporting women groups in fishing communities in the Peru East District of the Bono East region with entrepreneurial skills to empower them to support their families as well as keep their children in school. General Overseer of the ministries, Samuel Kofi Dunya, emphasized that there's the need for the church to support government in instituting measures capable of helping address the menace. Anna Summit has more in this report.
Ministries International, in partnership with the Westwood Community Church USA, the Gospel of Justice Conference seeks to, amongst other things, lead in the fight against all forms of child abuse, particularly along the Volta Lake. Speaking at the 2022 edition of the conference held in Yeji in the Peru West District, Founder and General Overseer of the Globe Serve Ministries, Reverend Samuel Kofi Dunia, emphasized that there is the need for the church to take the lead and institute measures that would assist in addressing child labor in the country.
When it comes to the issues of injustice, the church, we cannot stand aloof and pretend as if nothing is happening or nothing wrong is happening. Injustice is something that breaks the heart of God. And so as a church, we realize that we cannot really sit and watch and have only the government to deal with the issues of injustice in our nation. And so as a ministry, Globe Serve Ministries International, we are passionate to join the government to lay, basically, or provide an arm to help make sure that the issues of especially child trafficking and child labor comes to an end.
Reverend Dunia noted that there is the need to empower the people living in fishing communities by providing them with entrepreneurial skills to get them out of poverty, a move, he said, would enhance their livelihoods.
To us, preaching the gospel will be very much meaningless and powerless if it does not come to help the poor, the needy, the weak, the widow, and the orphans in our society. And so, yes, this year, prior to this conference, we have trained 70 women in how to make soap, how to make liquid, soap, how to make Dettol, how to make some ointments. And so the fight against injustice will only come only through the arm of the law or purely coming to preach the gospel, but we must add to it also empowering means whereby the women will be empowered to help their husbands make their home a better home for all.
11 newly constructed and rehabilitated state-of-the-art school buildings with ancillary facilities have been handed over to the people of Elembele by their OCTP Ghana partners, led by Eni Ghana Exploration and Production Limited. The project, which took 16 months to complete, forms part of the offshore Cape 3 Points commitment to giving back to the community and improving the lifestyle of people in their host district, Elembele of the Western region of Ghana.
Managing Director of Eni Ghana, Valentine Guspi, addressing the chiefs and people of the Eastern Nzima Traditional Council at the handing over of the school infrastructure projects, described the event as an all-important one, as 16 months of hard work and support from stakeholders had yielded improved teaching and learning environments. Valentine Guspi applauded the OCTP partners, World Bank and the chiefs and people of beneficiary communities for their contribution in ensuring that the buildings are in line with their needs while charging them to put the infrastructure to good use and well maintained.
Schools have been designed, constructed and funded by the OCTP partners, Vitol and GMPC. The schools involve a population of about 2,700 students that we all hope for their success now and for the future of them and the country.
Western Regional Minister Kobna Otrida Komensa expressed gratitude to ENI and the OCTP partners for investing in Ghana and the region. He charged Eni Ghana and its partners to invest in other parts of the region.
I'm looking at 2 extra towns that I want you to focus on as you focus on other parts of the country. So we have Cape 3 Points and then we have Newtown. And I expect you that in the coming days and weeks, you also go there, look at the needs of these 2 communities and also invest in them. Otherwise, people travel all over the country to go and look at Cape 3 and they tell us there's nothing there. People travel all the way to Newtown and they tell us there's nothing there. I believe that as you invest in your corporate social responsibility programs and your local content programs, you make it a point to invest in these other towns.
Deputy Minister of Energy Andrew Kofi Ejapa-Mensah encouraged the oil and gas companies in the Western region to give back to their host communities, since that is the surest way to live harmoniously.
One of the cardinal ways through which host communities of oil and gas activities and operators live in a peaceful coexistence, translating into a conflict-free oil and gas industry, is when the operators give back to these communities through these intervention projects. The people, as it were, feel part and parcel of the activities of the operators. Indeed, this project will be part of the effort at achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and also pursuant to the Paris Agreement obligation of improving the well-being of local communities.
Awolaya Miyakbenglade said, Paramount Chief of Eastern Nzima Traditional Council, described ENI and its OCTP partners as the best among the lots to have regulated in the area.
You're still watching JoyNews Desk with me, Mapitso Sebidi. Daryl Kwao is standing by with business.
Hi, welcome to Business. My name is Daryl Kwao. 26 young women in the Upper East region have completed 8 weeks of social entrepreneurship training and have the opportunity to access a Catalyst Fund from Youth Challenge International, the organization that gave them the training. The Catalyst Fund will enable the young women start their own businesses and scale up. Correspondent Abesori has more.
Youth Challenge International, YCI, is a Canadian youth-centered non-profit, non-governmental organization which aims to equip developing country youth with skills and resources to contribute positively to their communities. The organization has been working in Ghana for the past 20 years, supporting young people to realize sustainable livelihoods. This year, through the Head Start program, Youth Challenge International, working in partnership with the Bolgatanga Technical University, trained 26 young women in social entrepreneurship. The pseudo-social venture engaged these young women in 8 weeks of mentorship and helped them come up with their own business ideas that would not only create employment for them, but would also impact positively on their communities. These young women have successfully graduated from the training and have been awarded certificates. Some of them have been sharing their experiences after the training.
This 8 weeks program has equipped me to go out there and then to help people. I'm going out there and I'm entering into food vending and then also vegetable packaging, preservation and packaging in my community.
They haven't only taught me how to be a business-oriented person, but to be a business-oriented person socially. What I intend to do is to trade in straw, which is the basic material for basket weaving, because I've realized that I am in a community where everyone are into basket weaving. Here is the case, they don't even get the materials they need for the basket weaving, so it's a great challenge that they are facing.
And in my community, I've realized that most of the homes face a lot of challenges of feeding, that is poverty and hunger. And so my target is to train people on how to do pastries.
They also have the opportunity to apply for seed capital from a Catalyst Fund to start up and grow their own businesses. Esmond Wisdom Kwansa is the country project lead for Youth Challenge International.
This Head Start program is designed to support young women reach sustainable livelihoods while bridging the gender divide. From here, they will be able to access a Catalyst Fund. This Catalyst Fund would empower these young women with the seed funding they need to be able to start up their businesses and scale up. We are also supporting them with devices like tablet, laptop, mobile phones to be able to start up. The reason for moving the project to the Upper East region is to stop the myriad of young women migrating to Accra and Kumasi in search of menial jobs.
The Bolgatanga Technical University, BTU, was the partner institution training the young women entrepreneurs. Professor Daniel Ayong is the partner lead for the YCI BTU collaboration.
Our target is to train 351 young girls for this year. Then from there we'll move to select a few of them, about 75 of the girls who have promising ideas for an 8-week, 2-day training. And from there they pitch for a Catalyst Fund of $5,000 each.
For Youth Challenge International, they expect these young women to show determination and go on to become successful entrepreneurs. Nicole Cousins is International Programs Coordinator at Youth Challenge International.
It's great to have an idea of what you want to do, but without actual money, without actual resources to get started, it's hard to do that. So I encourage them to apply for the fund, take the resources that they have, whether it's financial or through the people that they've met through the program, the skills that they've gained through the program, and to not give up.
For these young women, the Head Start program is the stepping stone they need to go on and achieve their dreams, and they are confident that they will impact positively on lives in their communities. Reporting for Joy News, Albert Sori, Bolgatanga.
All right, you're watching our news desk. That's it for business, but we have an update on the National Science and Math quiz. Handing it over to Maxwell Agbagba.
Okay. Sound.
All right, a little issue with the sound there. We'll bring back our update on the National Science and Math quiz. So stay tuned on News Desk.
Of News Desk, and that's the sports time. Lawrence, good morning.
Good morning, Maps.
How you doing?
Good, and you?
I'm fine, thank you. We're discussing Champions League. Tell me about it. What's happening?
Today. The European competition resumes today. Chelsea obviously will be in action against AC Milan tonight.
Oh, okay. You know I'm a Chelsea fan.
You're a Chelsea fan?
Yeah.
Well, so tonight could play a very key role.
Okay.
In how you go ahead to qualify from your group.
Okay.
You remember last weekend you hosted AC Milan at the Stamford Bridge and they won.
Yeah.
So it's the return leg. You are going to Italy where you play at the San Siro.
Okay.
AC Milan and Chelsea are level on the same points, 4 points each. But the group is being led by RB Salzburg, who are from Austria. So the thing about this game is that anyone who wins probably goes above Salzburg, depending on the other results from that game. So Chelsea, Salzburg, Chelsea, AC Milan, and then AC Milan need the win. Once AC Milan get the win, it could be the point of they going on 7 points, Chelsea win on 4, and then there is Zagreb. Zagreb won their first game against Chelsea, but then since then they've not won any other game. In other fixtures, there's Celtic playing RB Leipzig, Shakhtar Donetsk playing Real Madrid. This fixture is quite key to a record being broken as well, because Carlo Ancelotti could become the first manager to win more 104 games in the Champions League, which will be the most. At the moment, he's tied with Sir Alex Ferguson with 103 each.
And Sir Alex Ferguson is captain for which team?
Sir Alex Ferguson coached Manchester United
Coach, I mean.
Yeah, he managed Manchester United for a period of 26 years.
Okay.
But that wasn't the only team. He also managed Aberdeen as well.
I see.
So, as we were mentioning, there's Copenhagen against Manchester City, Borussia Dortmund, Sevilla, Maccabi Haifa, Juventus, Paris Saint-Germain, and then Benfica.
So which apart from Chelsea, being a Chelsea fan, that's like one game to look out for.
Yeah.
But which other game do you think is going to be really exciting?
Another game that would be exciting would be the Borussia Dortmund versus Sevilla. Last week when they played, Dortmund were big winners. They won 4-0.
Okay.
But there's an interesting twist to this thing. Right after the game against Sevilla, they lost against Dortmund. Sevilla had to sack their coach. So Lopetegui was sacked, and then Sampaoli came in. Sampaoli is the new head coach of Sevilla. And then over the weekend, they avoided a loss. So it's the case of he trying to shield his side, groom them well, and then make sure they rediscover their momentum and then their mentality of facing the Dortmund side, who have not been. They have been inconsistent even in the Bundesliga. After losing some games over the weekend, they had to struggle for a draw against Bayern Munich. And that draw was quite important for them because Bayern has been like the top club. They've always been the top club in, in the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
So if they are able to hold Bayern off, they needed a last-minute goal to salvage a point. If they were able to do that, they feel the confidence gathered from that game could play a key role in their game against Sevilla. So they play at home where they know that a win for them could all but secure their progress into the next round, because they are in the same group with Manchester City. Manchester City are on 9 points because they've won all games.
Okay.
They play Copenhagen. Should they win that game, they go on 12, and then they are through to the next round. Dortmund's win will mean that they go on 9 points, and then with Sevilla and then Copenhagen staying on 1 point each, that means they have no chance of surpassing Dortmund to qualify alongside Manchester City.
Okay, thank you very much, Lawrence Peredu, and that's it for sports. But